Welcome to Fun and Fundraising, everybody, the podcast where we talk with people behind the top nonprofit galas and signature fundraising events to showcase how they positively transform their communities. I am your host, Rob Giardinelli, and today I'm really excited to have two very special guests on. Today's guests are Andrea Cheek and Isabell Novakov, and they are the co-chairs for the upcoming Cattle Barons Ball 50th anniversary for the American Cancer Society in Dallas. And we're going to dive into all kinds of things because there's so much to celebrate this year. And it is American Cancer Society's largest single night fundraiser in the US. So we're really excited to be able to share, have Andrea and Isabell on to share their insights on what it really takes to create a really fantastic event that will have over 3,000 attendees. So it's really an event that allows for a lot of people to come in, create a great community, and allows people to see and be seen and raise money for a great cause. So with that, Andrea, Isabell, welcome. And I'm so excited to have you both on as guests today.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. So, I'd like to direct the first question to Isabell. And Isabell, could you maybe share a little bit about what the mission of the American Cancer Society is?
Sure. The mission of the American Cancer Society is to improve the lives of people with cancer and their families through advocacy, research, and patient support to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to prevent, detect, treat, and survive cancer.
And those are all really important things. And cancer is one of those things. I don't think I've ever met a person who has not been touched by it in some way, shape, or form. So it's one of those things. I don't want to, I don't want to say it's fortunate that, because cancer is not fortunate, but it is one of those few things that just about every human being can kind of experience and have a commonality with. And one thing I'd like to know about each of you is, how did each of you get initially involved with this organization and the Cattle Barons Ball?
Absolutely. So I've been involved in the organization for about 8 years now. And Cattle Barons Ball is made up of it's an organization of 100 women. And we all work together to raise funds for the American Cancer Society. So I did have friends that were involved in Cattle Barons Ball that had told me about it. I had been to the event before, and obviously it's a fabulous event and had a great time. And like you mentioned, cancer has touched my life and my loved ones. And so it was kind of an easy yes to get involved with this group of women for this cause.
Fantastic. And Isabell, what about you? How did you get involved with ACS and Cattle Barons?
It's pretty much the same as Andrea. I've been involved for 15 years. And, this cause, as you mentioned, has touched everybody. I don't think there's anyone in the world who hasn't been touched by cancer in some form or fashion. So it's important. And the funds we raise impacts not only people here in Dallas. Granted, the money we raise does stay here for cutting edge cancer research, but the drugs that we find, or the cures or the treatments that we find, is shared worldwide.
That's really cool. And, I love that, they keep some of the things local. And there are an awful lot of really great cancer organizations out there. What makes each of you so passionate about ACS in particular? What is it about ACS that really has you coming back, that you're there for a decade or longer being involved with the organization and such?
There are several wonderful cancer organizations out there. I think for me, I really grew up with the American Cancer Society. When I was younger, I would do Relay for Life, and it was really the first cancer organization I was exposed to. So it was a familiar organization as I was growing up, because I, from a young age, had been volunteering with it. And so it just seems like a natural fit. When I think of cancer research, when I think of cancer funding for those that need it, I think of American Cancer Society naturally.
And one event that Cattle Barons hosts is our research symposium. And what that does is we bring in some of the researchers where we have directed funds, and they talk about the research that they've done, the outcomes, and the impact that those outcomes have had. And so you kind of see where the funds are going, and you see how it is touching people's lives. So, it's kind of firsthand. And again, there's several great organizations, but this, we hear from the people to whom we're giving those dollars.
So I love that, while, this is a huge and obviously really big night, the Cattle Barons Ball, I love that ACS does things throughout the year. And Isabell, like you were saying, it allows people to kind of see, you know, with things like the research symposium, it allows people to kind of see where their money goes. How does having things like that throughout the year help kind of create a sustained and really excited donor base for you all to really pull from for cattle barons?
It allows us to build those relationships with our donors. We have several touch points with them throughout the year. So it makes them, you know, feel closer to the organization, feel involved, like they know what's going on. Of course, we throw a wonderful party and everyone loves to come and have a great time, but they see where those dollars actually go and they can see where their money is being spent and the impact that has.
Another event we have coming up in just 2 weeks is Junior Cattle Barons Ball. And that's went on for a few years. We did have to take a brief pause during COVID, but it's now coming back. And we invite children with cancer from the local hospitals to come for a day of fun with their families. We also involve our donors and their members to come with their children. And so it's, again, one of those just firsthand seeing where the money goes, who we're touching, and that this isn't just about one night and one really great party. Just reminding them all throughout the year what we're doing.
Well, I love that you do that. And I love that you create, you know, a separate event for children, because obviously, you know, a children's event might be during the day and the afternoon, whereas I know Cattle Barons Ball goes well into the wee hours of the, you know, wee hours of the, you know, of the following morning. So I love that you create that differentiation. Like you said, it's really important to have those multiple touch points, because all people are impacted by cancer, but they're also impacted from it in different ways. So someone may be really passionate about research and want the symposium, and someone may have children, and that may be because their child had cancer. And it allows people to kind of see those different things. And then the other thing that, you know, I'm glad you brought up COVID, Andrea, is one of the things about COVID that's been interesting is to see is that since COVID's happened, people really want to know much more in philanthropy where their dollars are going than I think they did before. And, you know, COVID being a medical thing, I think people are like, you know, if I'm going to give this amount of money, I want to know exactly what it's going for, as opposed to I'm just going to write a check and, you know, it goes off into the ether. So I'm glad you brought up those points, because I think they're really valid. Fantastic. So, you know, tell us a little bit about, you know, because you all are celebrating 50 years is such a long time to have a successful event, and one that keeps getting more successful and breaking fundraising records every year. Tell us how the Cattle Barons Ball has evolved over the years.
So it initially started with a group of 10 women coming together, and before they formed Cattle Barons Ball as an organization, they were going door to door fundraising for the American Cancer Society, and they weren't finding much luck with that. And they thought there's got to be another way to bring more people together and to raise more money for the American Cancer Society. So at the time, casual events were not popular. Everything was black tie or cocktail. And so our founders thought, we have got to think of an event that our husbands would want to go to. They do not want to put on another tuxedo. We need to have something casual where they can wear jeans and have barbecue and listen to Texas country music. So that's how Cattle Barons Ball was formed. And at the time, you didn't really have casual events, and they weren't sure it was going to last. American Cancer Society actually told them at the time, you're crazy. This is never going to make it. And now there's 20 other Cattle Barons Balls across the country, and Dallas is the original.
That's amazing.
And the largest, yes.
Well, I was going to say, well, everything's bigger in Texas, and everything's always bigger, you know, always bigger in Dallas. And, you know, Isabell, you've been involved with the organization for 15 years. So you've been involved for a while. How have you even seen, like, in the last, you know, since you initially started versus now, how has Cattle Barons evolved, you know, as an event and as an organization?
Well, we've changed venues several times. So we've done the event at several different ranches. We were at Gillies. Now we're back at the ranch. So we are able to adapt to kind of what best fits our donor base. We also continue to have great entertainment that draws people to Cattle Barons Ball. And again, I think it's just showing the impact that the organization has trying to find a cure for cancer in our lifetime.
Absolutely. And that's something, you know, that literally, like I said, it's one of those things that literally everybody can get behind. And I love that you mentioned that there's 20 of them throughout the state. So, or not throughout the state, throughout the country. I know quite a few of them are in Texas. I know Texas has probably a half a dozen or more. And it's nice to see that it's actually kind of expanded kind of throughout the country, and it's more than just a Texas thing. And it just goes to show when you have a good concept, and especially with cattle barons, it really was trailblazing in so many ways, because there are a lot of $1 million galas now that are not black tie. And really, if we were to talk about who's patient zero, we'll keep it in medical terms.
Yeah.
Who's patient zero for the galas that did that? It really is the cattle barons ball, and that it's been going on for 50 years. And I think people think, oh, that's a recent phenomenon, but you all have been doing it long before it became trendy to do so. And now it's actually kind of trendy to be a little bit more casual at things.
Right.
There's several kind of country Western themed events now. We're like, oh, we've done that.
And you all originated, and that's really exciting. And so, I want to talk a little bit about, because you two have such a great rapport. So like when you're chairing something, what, if someone is asked to chair an event, or an organization wants to ask, what do you look for to say yes? Because, you all, I know you're involved with ACS, but I'm sure you're involved with other things. What made you say, yes, I'm going to, chair this event this year?
Well, first of all, it's a huge anniversary for Cattle Barons Ball, being the 50th anniversary. We have experience with anniversaries. We just chaired the Junior League Centennial event together. So, and I think, again, it's just the impact of the organization and ensuring that the event that you're going to chair has a positive impact, and that the dollars go, the majority of the dollars go to where they say they're going to go versus paying for a party or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think it's vetting the organization, vetting the event. And obviously we know Cattle Barons Ball and American Cancer Society have both been involved for a very long time. And we're super excited to say yes, especially to an anniversary year, because that just gives us so much more momentum than we already have.
And it is important when you're co-chairing an event with someone, because we spend a lot of time doing Cattle Barons Ball, and we spend a lot of time together. I oftentimes joke with Isabell and my husband that I talk to Isabell way more than I do my husband day to day. And so you do have to have that rapport, get along, know how the other person works, and really kind of carry your load, because this is a big position and a big volunteer job that we're fortunate to do.
Yeah,
absolutely. So given that this isn't your first rodeo of chairing an anniversary, what about an anniversary event? Like, what does that bring energy wise to the crowd that comes in? That's maybe a little different than if it's just an event that's kind of running year after year.
It's about celebrating the past and then looking forward to the future. So we have a significant amount of involvement from our former ball chairs this year. People that haven't come in years and are coming now. We have lots of tables of past ball chairs, which we're thrilled to have. And it's celebrating what they've done to get the organization to where it is today, and then looking to our next 50 years.
Wow. Yeah. And it is important to, it's good to take those moments, especially after, a half a century, to really just say, look at how much we've accomplished. We've got so much more to do, but let's just pause for a moment and just celebrate all the great stuff that you all have done, over the years. And, while we're on that subject, so to have a devoted following, and Isabell, I want to touch on something you said too, but also to get people to kind of come back, who may have cycled off and come back. It is all about really creating a devoted following. So what are some things that a person or an organization can do to create, that devoted following for a gala or a signature fundraiser?
I think for us, having something different, as we talked about, Cattle Barons Ball is a different setup than most fundraising events. It's not a luncheon. It's not a black tie event. So people love that. I mean, having a cause that people are passionate about. We've discussed how cancer has unfortunately touched everyone. And then, the unique thing about Cattle Barons Ball is you'll have people in your 20s to people in your 80s. And so it's finding needs for all those age groups. And something that we wanted to do for the 50th was bring back a classic performer. And that's why we chose Shania Twain, because she appeals to all age groups, which I think that's been a huge part of our 50th celebration is, someone that went to her concerts and loved her in the 90s to her making a huge comeback now, and people going to Vegas to see her and going to her tour. And so just finding something for all the different age ranges, men, women, something that everyone can come together and enjoy.
And Cattle Barons is different in that it's not a seated dinner with a speaker. You have multiple musical entertainers there. So it's just different.
Well, I love that. And it also kind of creates it to keep it, keep people on their toes. And I love, like you said, it's not the traditional thing. So when there's 3,200 people, it's one of those things where I know, and I've been to things with a third of that, and it's like, I didn't see that person there. So I'm sure when there's 3,200 people, there is, especially if, you've been going to it for years, you're never going to even get to see every single person, especially when you have these other things, like Shania Twain is, there are maybe 3 or 4 country artists that really made country kind of a mainstream thing that, everyone listened to and it's ubiquitous. And she's one of them. And, I will, people will often say, what are kind of things that I most look forward to at galas? And really it's, you get to listen to some really big name singers like Shania Twain in a small, intimate environment. And there's just something about that is so magical that that you can't experience in an arena. And I want to we talked about this in the green room. You all are sold out, so anyone who wants to see Shania, go to the 61st, because I'm sure they'll have it, or 51st, and I'm sure they'll have another big name. But
and we do have a wait list. We do want to mention that.
Fantastic.
So if anyone that is interested, you can go to our website and submit your name to the wait list. We do have a couple of sponsorship opportunities available with tables with them. So really that is the only way to see Shania now, is if you're interested in one of those sponsorship opportunities, or your company is, or you can go to our website and be added to the wait list.
I think that, that's really good to hear that there are still opportunities in that way. But, I want to, and we talked about this in the green room, talk about how, you're sold out, and you're sold out several weeks in advance of the actual event. Talk about how, that allows you all to kind of focus on other specific things, because when you've sold out for 3,200 people, that's a lot of folks that you've sold out, and there's a lot of undertaking. So how does that help allow you to kind of kind of refocus and recenter kind of what you want to do leading up to the event?
So I think, first of all, that takes a lot of, some years there's last minute ticket purchases and table purchases, and we're dealing with that instead of focusing perhaps on bringing in additional fabulous auction items for people to bid on. But we can turn our attention to other ways to make money. For example, we have a raffle. We have it annually that we can promote raffle sales. Again, look for those fabulous auction items, experiences that you can't necessarily just go out and do. That's really what we're looking for. And it allows us to really focus our attention on planning and trying to execute the most perfect event that we can. Of course, there's certain things that we can't control, but we will do our best.
And we have a paddle race at Cattle Barons Ball. We're planning on kicking it off the month of September, because our cause for paddle race this year is pediatric cancer. And September is actually Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. So it really allows us to build momentum behind the paddle race. We'll have our junior Cattle Barons Ball in September, and just kind of get some pre-pledges before the night of people that want to donate to pediatric cancer.
That's really great. And it's good to see that it allows you to bring, and I love how you both explain, because there's so many elements that go on to an event, and especially one with over 3,000 people. And, there's always something to do. So it's not like we're sold out, great, we're done. That's not how it works.
Not quite.
We wish, but that's not how it works. So it's good that you can take those energies and, raise even more money, because you can get more people to do the raffle. You can get a few more premium auction items that really can help either drive the bidding up, or, really just create more buzz, because it's a really unique and special experience. And, I want to turn to something, you all were talking about earlier, and that is, the Dallas chapter is the largest raising one in the country of the American Cancer Society for a single night. How does the Dallas chapter incorporate a local feel while highlighting the mission of a national organization?
Well, I mean, we spoke a little bit about it. Our paddle raise is one way, like that paddle raise benefits American Cancer Society and pediatric cancer research. Of course, we talked about this earlier too, that Dallas is the original Cattle Barons Ball. It has a Texas feel. It has you know, Dallas elements, things like that. It's out at a ranch. There are cattle barons balls in other states besides Texas, so theirs look a little bit different from ours. But again, it's just about promoting that American Cancer Society mission and why we are raising the money that we're raising and why we're doing what we're doing. And it's all to try and find a cure for cancer and cancer in our lifetime.
And, you know, we're an organization of 100 women that come together and do this. And so I think it does have that local feel where there's 100 women in your community that you know, that you volunteer with, that your kids go to school with, that you work with, and you know them and you know that they're working on this event. It makes it feel more local and more personal when we're doing that. And also when we're raising money that stays right here in North Texas.
Well, absolutely. And when people understand that, you know, a significant portion of the money is going to stay at home, that's a really good way to, you know, create that continuity. And, you know, given that you all are the largest in, you know, in the country, what is the secret, do you think, in creating a great partnership between an event and an organization? Because really what you all do as Cattle Barons is a silo, but it partners with an organization. And what's the secret to creating a 50-year plus partnership, you know, on a successful level?
Well, we really work hand in hand with the American Cancer Society. So we have a Cattle Barons Ball office where there are 3 employees here that are employed by the American Cancer Society, but our volunteers come up here. Isabell and I are up here all the time. You know, we have weekly staff meetings. We're talking daily. So we're really working hand in hand with the American Cancer Society office to plan this event. And it's been a great partnership between the two of us.
That's great. And I love that that ACS is invested in the community and that they have staff specifically dedicated for it. Because I'm sure if that wasn't the case in 1973,
No.
and that was one of the things that evolved over 50 years. So it's really good to see that they were like, wow, there's some real power and muscle here. And, you know, we need to tap into that more and be more present. So, you know, props to you all for raising it up at a grassroots level in the community. And I really appreciate the American Cancer Society having the vision to see, you know what, we need to have staff here full time to really make this a juggernaut, because you know, getting an event to 3,000 people, I can't think of a gala in Texas that is that large. I think it may, in terms of the number of people, I think that probably is the largest. So, I mean, it really goes to show when both entities have a stake, you can really achieve anything that you want to achieve.
Definitely.
Fantastic. So I know that we talked a little bit about her earlier, you know, Shania Twain. So, you know, that is a big act to have. Probably, I would say probably one of the biggest acts to come into Texas probably in years, especially for a gala. You know, what is a piece of advice you would give to an organization that has to give, you know, wants to engage or ask a celebrity or high profile person to be at their event?
It takes a lot of time and you just have to be persistent, you know, especially with Shania. She is on tour right now. She just came off a Vegas residency. She just announced another Vegas residency for next year. So her team, her management team, they have a lot going on. And so when you say, oh, can you sing for a fundraiser for 3,000 people? While it's huge to us, when you're a global worldwide superstar, you know, it's not as big. So yeah. You just keep at it, but it does take a lot of time. You can't say, oh, we need an entertainer, we need to book them in a week and expect to get someone like Shania Twain. It took us months at working at it. And there were several times where we probably wanted to give up, but we stuck to it. It's definitely paid off and it's going to be amazing. We can't wait.
And we're excited to have her. We haven't in our history had that many female performers. And we thought that it was especially important this year, celebrating our 50th anniversary, since we are an organization of 100 women, that we did have a female performer. And I would just say it's worth the money that you spend on Shania or a big name entertainer, because as you can see, we're sold out 7 weeks before the event. So, you know, the ROI on your investment, it does come back.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of new donors this year, and a lot of our longtime donors have upped their underwriting level because they wanted to be closer to Shania in the big tent.
Got it. So basically, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about what you can experience this year, but I kind of want to talk about that because, certain donor levels will give you certain types of access. So, there are some folks that want to just experience a concert and just experience the camaraderie in the room. So talk a little bit about, kind of the access that, you're able to give based on donor levels and kind of what that entails with, when you have a performer there.
So for Shania, cattle barons overall, you're moving around. We have buffet food stations. There's a casino room. There's a Ferris wheel. There's a mechanical bull. There's so many activities. And then everyone goes in the big tent at 10:30 to see Shania. And there's 3 different sections. We have the iconic section that is right in front of the stage, the gold section, which is in the middle, and the legacy section, which is in the back. There, you have an assigned table in the section that you were placed at. But if you're an iconic, which is the front section, and tables there start at 50,000 plus, you can sit at your table, or you can go stand in front of the stage and see Shania up here, like if you were at a concert. Because you do kind of have to stay in your section depending where your table is. So we do have donors that are like, I'm usually in the middle section, but I want to go stand in front of the stage and see Shania. So I'm going to up my sponsorship this year to get in that front section.
That's fantastic. Oh, go ahead, Isabell.
No, we've had several people that have come together with different couples, like their friends, to buy one of those tables in the iconic section. So
yeah, and when people say, well, it's that dollar amount, and I'm kind of like, well, if you think of any big performer, I mean, to even go see someone at a concert, you're paying $1,000. So would you rather pay $1,000 and be really far away? Or would you rather be in this kind of intimate space and really kind of feel her and feel the presence and feel the love in the room and benefit a great cause, and I think that's the perfect, anecdote when someone says, well, that's a lot of money. And it's like, well, if people that go to concerts now, that's really not anymore. It's not like, in the 90s when I was a kid and you could go see someone for $25. Those days are over. They don't exist anymore. So, I think it's really great that you do that, but it's also kind of on the same level and the same floor. So it's not like you're tiered or anything, but it allows everyone to kind of experience it, within the same space on the same level. But it's just how close you are.
And if you really want to be close to Shania, in our live auction, one of our packages is buying 2 seats to be on stage with Shania.
Wow. At Cattle Barons? Or
yes.
So they they go up immediately.
Yes. So they buy it in the live auction, and then an hour later, 30 minutes later, then they're up on stage. 2 people get to be up on stage with Shania.
Oh my God, that's almost like an Oprah moment. I mean, that is something. I mean, that's something else. That seems like something like only like Oprah would do. So I love that you all are doing that. You're making dreams come true with that. So, tell us a little bit more about some of the other things, that, we can expect at this year's Cattle Barons Ball. You mentioned the live auction and some other things. So how do you keep the fun going for a long time? Because Shania Twain's not going on until 10:30, like you said. So there's a lot of fun stuff that's going to have to obviously be going on for a few hours before that happens.
So during our VIP party, which kicks off the night, we have Randy Rogers Band playing, which is a beloved Texas country band. And we're kind of we're going back to our roots with that because we started with Texas country bands for the first few decades. And everyone loves Randy Rogers. So you do get a performer right when you get there. And there's several moving parts to Cattle Barons Ball. There is the casino room with casino tables set up. We have a pass ball chair room this year, sponsored by Neiman Marcus, that has fashions of our pass ball chairs throughout the years on mannequins. It's going to be really special. We have a huge silent auction room, which is so fun just to go around and look at everything too, because we have more than 600 items that are going to be on the silent auction. You can purchase a raffle ticket. There's the mechanical bull. There's the iconic Ferris wheel.
Okay, so talk about this Ferris wheel. You brought this up before. So how do you logistically bring that in, and how does that work?
Well, we don't really deal with the logistics. That part of the logistics. You don't want us setting up a Ferris wheel, but we have a Ferris wheel coming in, and we're super excited this year because different from years past, you can brand the center of the Ferris wheel. And that's one of our sponsorship opportunities that's available. We're shocked that no one has taken it. But you can put your company logo. Andrea and I are thinking we might put our pictures on it or something like that. Not really.
The chairs ode to
We're just
Andrea and
kidding.
Isabel.
But yeah, we're thrilled to have the Ferris wheel back. It was pretty much a staple of cattle barons in the past, and we got away from it. People decided to be creative and have other things like merry-go-rounds, and which is great. But we wanted to bring back the Ferris wheel for the 50th.
And we have the live auction, which we have 20 fabulous items. And the live auction is always so entertaining, either to participate in or just to watch, because we have some packages that go for over $100,000. So to be in that room and just watch the excitement is a lot of fun. And we have some of our iconic packages that we have. If you haven't caught on, Rob, our theme for the year is iconic. So we say iconic a lot. But, we have our chef's package with some of Dallas's most famous chefs, where they'll do a private dinner party for you and your friends. Troy Aikman is hosting a tailgate with his signature 8 beer. So there are some packages you can really only get at Cattle Barons balls, those experiences you can't get anywhere else.
And for silent auction, you don't have to be present to bid. The auction will open on Monday, October 9th, I think at 10 a.m. And anyone can browse and bid on our silent auction items. And same with raffle. You can purchase a raffle ticket and you do not have to be present at Cattle Barons Ball to win.
And then after Shania, because it keeps going till 2 a.m., we have a dance band on the VIP stage. So you finish up Shania and then you go dance the night away, because she'll end about midnight till 2 a.m. We have one of Jordan Kahn's fans, Taylor Pace. And so you're going to be dancing the night away. And we have fabulous food. We talked about earlier, it's not a seated dinner, but we have food stations throughout the whole night. And some of my favorite food is the late night food. So when you get out of the big tent from seeing Shania, you're getting breakfast burritos and donuts. We've got a tater tot station, cinnamon rolls. I mean, you just can't beat it. And so you get your breakfast burrito and then you go dance with your friends all night. So we're keeping you busy all night with different things going on.
I love that you say, I love that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, galas have to have all these fancy food. And I love that you just bring, and I think that's one of the reasons why you all are so successful at what you do is, you're selling kind of with Cattle Barons, you're selling a relaxed environment, and that conveys to the food. You can't have Chateaubriand for 2 if everyone's in cowboy hats and jeans, maybe sapphires and denim or something like that. So it's really, I really like that the care that you all bring into it, that you're making sure that you're bringing in elements that make the experience feel comfortable for all the guests that attend.
And there's something just nostalgic about being up late at night, having a breakfast burrito with your friends, going to dance. I haven't done that since college. I do it once a year at Cattle Barons Ball. But I think that's what our guests, that's what makes it special and they love about it.
Well, and I love that ties into the history that you were talking about of the event, and it's fun to see all these fun little beats and nods that you're talking about that go into play. And I want to talk about one more thing before we go, and that is you're hosting the event at an iconic place that everyone in the world knows, South Fork Ranch. So what is it like to deal with, how do you engage an event venue that is kind of an iconic space to really create kind of a special experience like you're looking to experience this year?
Well, South Fork has been a longtime partner of ours. We've had several cattle barons there. And Andrea and I thought that it was only fitting that we have our 50th at a ranch, again, to a nod to our past of starting at a ranch. And while South Fork is wonderful, we do kind of transform it. We transform the convention center, and we put a big tent up in the field and put food stations out. So we make it our own, and I think it fits our event, and that's how we can have 3,200 people. I'm not sure there's an indoor venue that would allow for that many people. So we do have to, morph it into what we need it to be.
Mm-hmm. And they love, everyone knows South Fork Ranch, but they love having Cattle Barons Ball there because we're a classic Dallas, iconic Dallas event, and they want to have us there. They're like, are you coming to South Fork? So it's been a really great partnership throughout the years.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And, it will be an iconic night. And Andrea, I'm glad that you stated, you stated that, because I think that's the perfect note to end on. This will be an iconic night that I know people in Texas and beyond, frankly, will be talking about for a very long time to come. So, thank you so much for taking the time today to chat with us, and congratulations on 50 years. And here's to the next 50.
The next 50. Thank you so much, Rob.
Absolutely. And the 50th annual Cattle Barons Ball benefiting the American Cancer Society will be on October 14th, 2023 at South Fork Ranch in Parker, Texas. For more information, please visit cattlebaronsball.com. And that will do it for this episode of Fun and Fundraising. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, reminding you to keep it fun, keep it interesting, and your guests will have a great time. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.